if you have a thought, put the thought on trial, and then try to argue both sides of it. And then even if you're not able to complete it, make fun of yourself for trying to, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's so much there, you know.
Greetings, everyone. Come on in and have a seat up front for the Funny Muscle Podcast. If you're here, then you're looking to learn how to create laughs like a pro. So please help me welcome to the stage your co-host to help you do that, economics professor and open micer Chris Stifler and comedian turned author Mike Lucas.
We've gotten dumber as a species. You people know it. They ask you now when you're checking out, would you like a bag? And no. I'm gonna juggle these 47 items out to my clown car. Does this business model work anywhere else? You go to a restaurant, order a bowl of soup. Did you bring your own bowl? No, just ladle the hot liquid into my hands and I'll lick it off my blistered palms. What's that, split pea? That's delicious. I want a bowl, I want a bag. You know what I don't want to do? I don't want to build my own burger. I could do that at home. I don't want to craft my own pizza. What am I paying you people for? I'm doing all the heavy lifting. Hey, I wonder if that works in this industry. Everybody, I'm Jimmy Shubert. I'm a comedian. Here, why don't you make yourself laugh for 10 minutes?
Well, we are very pleased to have with us today one of my favorite comedians of all time. This guy, I think I know you from Chicago.
Yeah, I think the first time we worked together was in Chicago.
Yeah. And
we used to do that bit about people in Chicago are so nice. Like, hey, can you tell me that? Sure, jump on. I'll give you a piggyback. Come on.
Yeah, give him on my I'll give you a piggyback ride. I'll get you to the library.
That's how people with how friendly people are in Chicago. It was like
right, yeah.
With big responsibilities. Yeah.
Versus New York and LA. Yeah, well, he's going to plug his new movie coming out soon, and we're going to talk to Jimmy Shubert. Let's give it up for Jimmy Shubert.
Hey, yeah, the film's called Topper. It got released yesterday on Apple TV and Amazon. It's Topper. It's a film written and directed by Kevin McNamara, who's also a stand-up comedian, but it's got great performances by Mark O'Brien and Amanda Clayton, both who were on City on the Hill, but really a really powerful, cool, independent feature, and the subject matter is great. You know, this guy.
What do you play? What's your role?
I play it's about an LA comic who is at one time was like the hottest property, and now he's an alcoholic, and he's a little bit of and his life's coming undone, and he finds out his dad's dying of cancer, so he takes a bus back, and he's kind of sleeping on the couches of the club, and his star has fallen, so he goes back and he has to deal with his dad, who was an abusive alcoholic, while he's dealing with his own drinking problem, and you see where all that started, and he starts to address things in his past, and there's a really powerful scene between him and his dad. And I'm telling you, if you can keep your eyes dry during that performance, because Mark O'Brien's unbelievable, and the guy who plays his dad's great, and there's great performances in this thing, and then he starts to correct his life. His dad's dying. He gives him the house. He kind of fixes it up, and he gives it to his friend who's in a relationship with an abusive guy with her daughter. So he helps her out, and he corrects some things, and he forgives his father, and he forgives his mom, and starts to fix all these things. And so when he goes back to LA, he's got his life back on track. And I think the closeout shot is him being on the Tonight Show, and it's really it's comedy centric, but it's not the main focus. And I play one of his buddies back in Detroit at the comedy club, and so we we help him move and do a couple things. And so but yeah, it's really good, really well done, and they got great performances by a bunch. There's an actor from Yellowstone in there, and some great performances by some really great actors, and a truly independent feature film, which is what I responded to anyway. So, but if people get a chance to check it out, they should.
How can they see it? Where is it going to be?
You go to Apple TV. Go to Apple TV. You can go to Amazon. It's Topper. It's Topper.
Okay.
Which is the guy's name. But
you've been doing comedy for 35 years. What have you noticed in the trends in comedy from when you started to nowadays?
Well, it's interesting. My guy is George Carlin, and I look at like Carlin pieces. I look at those like, baseball versus football, and that's such a classic bit. I mean, selling's legal, fucking's legal. Why can't selling be legal? I mean, there's jokes there. There's real jokes. There's some thought put into it. I think a lot of people think that stand-ups just go up and say a bunch of funny things, and sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes it's more than that. What are you really trying to say? What's the subtext of the bit you're doing? Because you may be talking about this, but in reality, you're talking about this, and you do it in a clever way. And I
Right.
always say that the thesaurus, the vocabulary, they're your toolboxes. What's the funniest way I can say this? What's the most eloquent way I can say this? Can I work to the top of my intelligence and still get my point across? I mean, do I have to do dick jokes or talk about my asshole to get laughs all the time, or can I work to the top of my intelligence? Can I really craft a bit? Can I craft something that's it's almost like street poetry with a rhythm to it and a point, and put some performance elements on it? I think that I think that people think it's easy. They think you're just talking to people. Like you look at Louis C.K. and go, "Oh, he's just talking to people. How tough could it be? He's just talking." I go, "No, I guarantee you, Louis is a fucking writer. Louis has gone over that bit 20 times, worked on it, and memorized it, so all the nuances and found all that stuff. So it looks like he's just talking because he's really good at what he does. It's like the same that when people get to that outlier level where you've just done it so much, and what happens is I really say it's a lot like being a stripper. You're just kind of undressing mentally, and let people see what your thought process is and stuff like that. It's kind of similar to that, but it's also, I mean. I want to craft these bits that work in most markets that aren't geographically funny, but they work everywhere because I work everywhere, and put some real time and polish to crafting a piece of stand up. And I think people are just it's like anything else. The harder you work at it, the better you get at it. And it's nothing but stage time and stage time and stage time. And 80% of what I do is on the page and writing on the page. You come up with ideas or a clever way to say something, and then when I go on stage again, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to get to this and talk about this. Some of it, and some of it starts out as lectures. And then you got to go with like 8 pages of music, and it looks like the manifesto.
Right.
How do I
Got to
make?
find the jokes.
Yeah, well, then you get back, but it's like the World Economic Forum and these douchebags. They take private jets and limousines to these conferences about, we should live in 15-minute cities and eat insects, which is crazy. They want, it's like these people who there's some people out there that is like, they think what's that show? Bizarre Foods. I think eating bizarre foods is like, oh, it's bizarre foods. The guy eats bizarre foods. It's 13 episodes. The only thing I haven't seen that guy eat is pussy. You know what I'm saying? He likes to catch the ball without a glove on, if you know what I'm saying. He likes to go through the drive-through without a car, if you know what I'm saying. That guy has smooth elbows and he likes to sleep diagonally. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the point is, so I read, that's funny. This is an idea I had. I'm just giving you my process. And so I was thinking, how do I make this funny? And I was just like, and then I realized that, the FDA, they are putting cricket protein in products already. It's called the cheetah powder. They're putting it in grains and biscuits and crackers and shit like that. So it's like they're already putting insect protein in some of the food. You find that out. I called the FDA to complain. You know what I heard? Crickets. They never got back. But I'm just saying, this is like that. How do you take something like that and make it funny? Because it's really kind of a serious subject.
Right.
70% of the world has died. They eat insects in their diet. Yeah, that's because they don't live in America. You fucking asshole. Your garbage disposal eats better than 40% of the people in the free world. They eat crickets because they need it. You know what I mean? I eat chicken. You know what chickens eat? Chickens eat crickets. I'm not moving the chicken out of the way and going right. Yeah, fuck it. You want baked or fried? Fuck it. Give me a bowl of each. You know what I mean? These people like they're so fucking yeah, I'm trying out these alpaca testicles. My stylist, Federico, turned me on to them. Look, there's gonna be no alpaca testicles on my conscience. You know what I mean? Until I see a line full of cars wrapped around the building selling alpaca testicles, I'm sticking with the chicken, chicken strips, chicken. That's what I'm eating. Okay. Anyway, it was an idea. It was something I've been working on, just trying to figure out the rhythm of it or the
Right, right.
funny, but it also is based in reality. There happens to be a little truth in it, and so that's where I start.
Do you do stream of conscious writing or just kind of rant for a bit?
No, no, I think about it for a couple days and I have these ideas about it and then I look at the order in it. What how does what, like sometimes you switch the order of it. What's the natural thought progression of how that thought would unfold in your head that leads you into the next thing that leads you to the next thing and so I make sure that's sequentially right. And then of course I layer it and I do some research about insects and what they're really called and what's the Latin verb for it and what's the and just try to figure it out and then try to really and then from there I'll take it on stage and play with it and try to craft it into like a rambling bit.
The way you do your act, it's like a dance. You have like a calm energy, then you go into like a spastic energy, then back to calm, then back to spastic, and it's a real fun back and forth dance. Like how do you maintain your energy for that long in doing that for your show?
Well, I think if you're not excited about what you're talking about, how do you expect a room full of people to be excited about it? I think if you don't think you're great, how do you expect a room full of people, 400 people to think you're great if you're not great? I kind of move like you said, as fast and it slows down and fast and there's like
Yeah.
a pacing on it. And
There's a machine gun like rhythm to it too. Like you pop, 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 and then it sort of slows down and then goes pop, 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 pop.
Well, yeah, I just grew up watching guys like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up listening to comedy albums, and I grew up watching, Dangerfield and Carlin and Dice Clay and Sam Kinison and Robin Williams and guys. I mean, I got to see them in live, in person at the Comedy Store. I was working a door there, and the great thing about the Comedy Store is that you start there as a doorman, but you get to watch all these amazing comedians. All these, like I always say, like if you started at the Comedy Store, you worked at the Improvs, like you're a trained assassin because you're following monster comedians every night. You get to watch monster comedians every night, and there's no way you can hang out with brilliant people and not have it influence you. And you get to watch them, and you get to look at them, and create. And some of the funniest lines in my act are taglines that were given to me by other comedians. I mean, creativity is certainly a collaborative art form, and when you're doing it, sometimes you don't think about a thought, and then someone comes up and goes, "Oh," and it just unlocks a whole new avenue. I wasn't even that's brilliant. That
Right.
and it's just a little thing that someone else gives you and you just opens up and you go, you know, I mean, obviously if it's coming from somebody I admire and respect, and even some guys I was working with for the week said, that line you do, you should see if you, and I go, oh yeah, I'm gonna be open to that. Let me try that, you know.
Nice. Yeah, that's we work a lot together. Every Wednesday I have something called office hours at the Dallas Comedy Club, and we have a group come in and we all tag each other's stuff, and it's really helpful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I realized that like many years ago, there was three local comedians when I left LA a while back. I moved to Florida before, and I like at like 2 nights a week we'd set an egg timer, and whatever comes up in that 30 minutes, yours. Whatever comes up the next 30 minutes is yours. And that was it. But you have to be with the right people because some
Right.
people go, now it's your turn. Everybody shuts the fuck up. It's like, but if you're with, fellow people that are collaborating, anything that comes up during that half hour, taglines, and why don't you take it this way or try it this way. So it's a great exercise. You just got to find the right people to be able to do it with. But I also find when I'm reading a lot, I'm writing a lot. It's just they go hand in hand. I mean, you know,
What
like
do you like to read?
different stuff. Dean Koontz. I read. Uh,
Do you read the newspaper at all?
what's that?
Do you do the newspaper at all? Like, do you draw
Yeah,
your
you know
material
what?
out of the
When I
newspaper?
first started, I did.
Yeah.
Like I told, like someone gave me a great piece of advice that you should read the newspaper from cover to cover every day when you first get up, because that'll give you an idea. So you can talk about anything really and have an informed opinion about it. Based on what you read. Obviously, if you're but I always think if you're feeding information into the computer, which is the human brain, then you're going to come up with funny things and have just even just for references. I mean, just making all your references current, making all the some people you see comics they do a reference from like 8 years ago. You didn't think to upgrade that reference. There's no better you got to like people will do. You get upgrade your references too. Make it make sense. You know what I mean?
Bring it to the modern
I mean, there's a line with
era.
Janet Reno couldn't get fucked if she cooked a logging camp naked. I mean, you could change that reference. It's still a funny line, make it
Right.
about somebody else.
Right, right. Well, like when you're 35 years ago, what, like, t walk us through how you started into this. A lot of our listeners are brand new comics and they're sort of,
Well, it's funny. I started out. about 9 years old, I got a magic kit, and I started out doing magic. And I grew up in a big family. I got six brothers. My one brother played the drums. My brother played the guitar, and I was number three. I took up magic. I got a magic kit, and I was actually pretty. I was practicing and buying tricks, and by the time I was 15, I was an accomplished professional magician. I had doves. I was doing like 6 shows a month. I was doing shows down to St. Christopher's Hospital in Philadelphia for the kids, and trying to get better at it. I just had, that's really kind of hit me into performing. Is I love the kind of reactions you get and all this stuff and how cool it was. And then I went to a Kappa, a creative and performing arts high school, and
Wow.
and so I had like three classes a day that were drama classes and studying scene acting and stage movement and all this stuff. And I was also the school magician. So whenever they performed, I brought my stuff out, and so I got to perform. So it's like anything else. You wanted to get better. And the more you do it, the better you get. So I had all this performing stuff, performing chops before. So when I hit 18, I really just kind of wanted to fucking a lot of practice goes into magic. I just wanted to find a room and be funny, and so I kind of made a transition out of that. I hung out the wand, I let the rabbit go, I just started telling dick jokes, and so I started like I really started young. I mean, like I was doing this 15, 16. I was at the clubs when I was 17 in Philly and started doing stand up there and doing the open mics, and then not too long after that, I went out to like Los Angeles when I was about 19 and started working at the Comedy Store as a doorman, and then I got the job as the runner, and then I got just immersed in that comedy culture, and I couldn't get enough of it. I mean, it was, and then from there, and I didn't know. I mean, all I knew was I wanted to be the best stand-up comedian I was capable of being, and by associating and watching every night, I mean, you could learn as much from a great comedian as you could from a bad comedian about what not to do and what do these people do. And I studied it like a science, really. I mean, what 8 qualities do these guys have in common that are so popular that everybody loves, and what 8 qualities do these guys have in common that they can't get up and laugh if they held a gun to your head? I mean, what do you want to avoid? What do you? And so and it's all I gave a fuck about. I mean, I just kind of immersed myself in it. And then, about 4 years after that, working at clubs and being inspired and influenced and becoming friends with some of these people you'd admire and respected. And then, I went and toured, like, I was doing clubs and stuff, but then, Sam Kinison came along and gave me an opportunity to go on the road with him as a Sam Kinison, the Outlaws of Comedy, which was amazing. I mean, we did 70 cities, 45 cities. We're traveling on a tour bus, and you're opening these big shows at these big theaters.
I
I
think I
mean,
saw you guys in Cincinnati. Did you do Cincinnati? One of
oh,
the
we did Cincinnati, and I think there's a theater in Cincinnati. It was around since the 1800s.
yeah.
And one of the rooms downstairs is dedicated to Lily Langtry, the first woman, the first lady of theater. I guess she had toured during. But that's the other cool thing I like about doing a lot of these venues all around the country is there's a lot of soul cooties on them, man. There's people go, oh my God, Charlie Chaplin was here at the Throckmorton Theater. Oh my God, it's a Chicago theater. It's a Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis played here, and all this and all these cool things. I mean, and then I got to do some military tours, and I got to, I've done a lot of different things. I've done China 3 times. They got expat communities over there. This is obviously pre-pandemic. I wouldn't go back now, but I mean, I go to Hong Kong still. I mean, I've done shows over there. I've been to Israel, Ireland. I went to Afghanistan. I went all through South America,
Wow.
and so it's like, I mean, my passport at one point looked like James Bond's passport. I was like, I mean, you get to go. I was in Cuba. I mean, you're doing shows in Guantanamo Bay for the military. Some of those armed forces entertainment tours, those welfare, morale, recreation tours, those DOD tours. I mean, I went to Afghanistan with Drew Carey. We're in the back of a fucking truck telling jokes under a netting in a fucking war zone. I mean,
Jeez.
I'm sorry, it doesn't get much cooler than that. I mean, just for the fucking travel, you know. But
Right.
I've done the Bulmer's Comedy Festival in Ireland. My whole family came to Ireland, and so it's just been this amazing life of getting to make a living doing something you love to do. And if you can do that, you're a fucking success. And I don't give a who you are. I mean, it's an incredibly tough way to make a living, even if you get out of it and try to get back into it. I mean, and everybody does. I mean, Drew Carey's out doing stand up. Tim Allen's still doing stand up. I mean, these guys are incredibly successful, and that's not even a money thing. I think it just is. Once you love to do it, if you love to do it, I'm a real comedian. I mean, I've done a lot of acting and stuff like that, but what I really love is stand up, and
Yeah.
and I'm a magician member to Magic Castle. I went and revisited that a couple years ago and started working and performing
Oh, no kidding. You got your membership at the Magic
You know,
Castle.
I was listening to this guy, John O'Donohue, who's this Irish a writer, and he's a ex-priest, and but he's into the he talks about these things like the unexamined lives that we live. Like if you stayed put, lived in Philly, what would your life look like? That life, you know what I mean? Or what if I did go back and revisit magic and started practicing and got good enough again, and just as a hobby or just as something that kept me busy during hotel rooms, or when I got 8 hours to kill, or what if it was something that I really liked, and when I find like a quiet moment in my head, I'm trying to figure out a trick or a best way to present a trick. So, I mean, I've been like, I just do it as a hobby, but I'm really good at it. I'm a magician member at the Magic Castle, so I like doing that. I like working. I like being an actor. I like doing that, and I love doing stand up. And it's just this fucking 9-year-old kid that wanted to be this entertainer ruined my fucking life. He ruined my life. I choked the light. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you
But
could have been a lawyer. You could have been a doctor.
yeah, yeah, no, no, but just all those cool things I like to do to keep you creative and keep you artistic, and that's where,
Did you ever do the magic on your comedy act? Did you ever try to
no,
whip
I
that out?
don't cross the streams really. I don't cross the streams. I
Yeah.
mean, especially with my act, where to find and now time for a magic trick.
Pick a
Hey,
card, any card.
welcome to Angry Magic. I said, pick a card, you motherfucker.
Not that card, you dick.
Yeah, I memorize the card. What I forget it, No, but I actually do that as a sketch. I do angry magic when I'm doing close up. But yeah, but I usually after my shows, I'll usually come out to the bar and I'll do like 30 minutes or 45 minutes of close up show. And people go, what okay, this 45 minutes on stage and it comes out. And sometimes I'll do it. Sometimes if I'm prepared for it, I'll do it. It's
That's
fun.
wild.
Mostly do it for the staff because they seem to really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it needs their own entertainment for sure. Oh, I thought Chris had a question.
I was just looking at his filmography. I was curious. I was trying to picture your face from the Italian Job or
Oh, the Italian Job. I was the detective. I had a mustache. I was the detective that walks up on her when she's cracking the first safe. I said, "You always working."
okay.
I'm the detective. It's funny because I auditioned for that I was going in the day after Father's Day, and I took my dad, who was a Philly detective. I told him, I said, "I'm going to go. I'm going into the family business on celluloid," and so I went in and auditioned for it the next day, and I happened to get that part. But it was F. Gary Gray. It was Mr. and Mrs. Smith. My scene was with Charlize Theron. I mean, I would do those small parts if they were with the main actors. Even in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I had worked on a thing for 3 days, but I was in the scenes with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. So you got to like work those scenes and Go was my first film. I was coming out of a development deal. A couple development deals actually for my own sitcom, but it wasn't going the right way. And then this opportunity presented itself to audition for this movie role, and I had the audition right, or what I thought it was, and then the casting director gave me some bullshit notes, and they called me in later that afternoon, and I did the way the casting director told me, and the guy said, yeah, 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 no, no, this is what I got. That's what I thought, and I threw the chair down. I put everything fucking into it. I'm reading with the casting director. I want to rip his fucking head off, and I walk out, and I get a call home. I go, they go, you got it. I go, good. Well, they kept saying you're in first position for it. You're in first position for it. So, and then my development deals were done because they switched. The presidents of the network switched in the middle of the deal, and so which means everything goes away, all the old shit goes away, and so, I mean, I wasn't mad at it. I mean, they give you a nice little check to kind of sit there and get cast in something else. I mean, it seems like back in the day when you could go to the Montreal Comedy Festival and really launch your career. You could really launch your career from the Montreal Comedy Festival. I don't think it's like that now, but
Yeah.
I think like that's like the granddaddy of the festivals. Where like every casting director and network executive was at these shows, and they would and if you had a great set, you were off to the races. So they threw me a couple checks to sit there and kind of try to find something for me, and I was still auditioning for other stuff in the meantime. But I realized that these little parts you get or big parts you get, I mean, they continue to pay you on residuals and everything else. I started really investing in trying to get as much as this as possible, because if it goes about 10 years or 15 years where if I wasn't doing stand up, I was acting in something. I mean, it was like almost 50-50 at one point.
Wow.
And all these years you will look up and you go, hey, wow, I got a pension with the Screen Actors Guild. And you're still getting to do stand up and some other stuff. So it's just the business has changed so much. Everybody, like that's really kind of thing is how do you adapt? How do you go along with all the new, like, guys like my age shouldn't be good at social media, but if I'm not good at it, then I have a guy that does do it, well and figures out the algorithms, and he's worth every nickel I pay him, and he does a great job with it. And you use it like, it's like, perception is reality, really. So if
Yeah.
somebody sees you and sees you on social media all the time, working at clubs and killing at clubs, and then they just reach out to you, hey, you available to do my room? And I mean, it's like a business card. I mean, a lot of people post a lot of silly horse shit on social media. It's like, that's not going to help you. That's not going to help you. I
Not
mean,
going to get you the gig.
well, I mean, even political stuff. I don't care if you go one way or the other way. It interferes with people's ability to give you work. I mean, there's too much at stake here. I mean, there's freaking 9 ways to make a paycheck, and it's you can do corporate work, you can do casino work, you're doing private, you're doing cruise ships and freaking comedy clubs and whatever. You should be able to do it all. Why would you limit your ability to make the most you can and create albums and get them on Sirius and XM, which creates another revenue stream of income? You get residuals from your acting works, with another residual stream of income, and so you're really kind of hitting it on all cylinders. Like you said, we talk about this. It's one thing to figure out how to write funny material, find your voice, and write for that voice, and figure it out. And at different points in my career, I have used writers, but I've used writers that can write in my voice and would help me out and push me across the finish line. I mean, look, Tiger Woods works with a coach. Why wouldn't you? If you want to be the best at it, I mean, it's incredibly competitive profession, and and so you want to kind of keep yourself. I mean, luckily, I've been able to do this for a long time, and I enjoy every minute of it. I still do. I mean, I'm not. I've known people that got bitter and jaded. And why would you do it? You're telling for jokes. Listen up. Find the joy, motherfucker. Find the joy. How about that?
What
And
what's your brand or your comedy lens? Like if you could describe yourself in one sentence, like
well, I would say my stand-up comedy dances fearlessly on the high wire of emotional intensity and imagination.
there you go. You
And
thought it out.
I would say I'm kind of a pop culture iconoclast. I like to run through people's bubble garden with the pen and challenge all your. I mean, and do it in a way that's not offensive. To do it in a smart way. To do it in a clever way. To do it in a unique way and go, did you just do that without doing that? I mean, that's what I love. I mean, some of the, like, as for instance. I do this. I do this. I'll just give you an example of what. So I talk about. I go from. Do this chicken omelet thing, and I go. I'm a meat eater. God made animals slow enough to catch. He obviously intended for us to eat them. Besides that, what's the fun in hunting a vegetable? I mean, anybody could sneak up on a carrot. Some of that shit's not even food. Celery, that's not food. That's dental floss trapped inside a carbohydrate. And at some point, actually, celery is dangerous. It's classified as a negative calorie food. There's 2 calories in one stick of celery, but if you eat it, it takes your body 10 calories to process it. I mean, you could kill yourself eating celery if that's all you ate. I mean, it would take a long time, but you could do it. And I usually point to a guy in the eyes. I go, "Sir, you're looking at me like if you're in the National Celery Growers Association. First off, I didn't come here to badmouth celery. All right, that's number one." And the guys didn't even say anything. I go, now that you brought it up, though, celery does have good use. I go, celery, according to Peter North. And then I just shut up. And then somebody always laughs in the audience, go, yep, I always wait for the perverts. Obviously, this guy over here is nursing a very healthy online porn addiction. For the rest of you churchgoers, Peter North happens to be a very famous male porno star. He's known for the amount of fluid that comes out during climax. It's quite substantial and pretty impressive, and he does it on a consistent basis. Last year, he's in Vegas at the Adult Video Awards, and they asked him straight out, they said, Peter, what's your secret? He said, I ate lots and lots and lots of celery. It's a water-based vegetable. It acts as a natural Viagra. It just fills me up. And I just wait. Now, I don't have a joke for it. I'm just passing along the information. I'm talking about jit. I'm talking about cum. But at no point in that presentation do I ever say any of those
Yeah.
words.
Right.
The subtext.
It's all like, it's like Seinfeld's episode. Are you king of your castle? I'm master of my domain.
Right.
They're doing a whole episode about jerking off or masturbation, and it's all within the confines. And so when you can do like that's you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Guys shoot a massive load of toddler juice on some girl's goozle shoot, you know. But the way you word it, the way you do it, the way it's almost clinical and kind of.
You got a classy way of saying "come, sir."
I call it baby batter. Listen, no, but again, I mean, you could do that at a corporate event. What did he
Right.
say?
It's clever, yeah.
He said he said significant amounts. He said, "Look,
Right.
there's nothing you could possibly."
I want to be angry and complain, but I don't know what to complain about.
Yeah, I mean, what did he say? He said, but if you go over, it goes, yeah. What are you upset about? Like it will make you look like an idiot if you try to go. That was horrible. Like it's very clinical, and it's like a non-joke joke. Uh, You know,
Like, what do you do with hecklers? Do you ever have to deal with hecklers? I can't imagine anyone has the guts to try to interrupt you.
I don't look. I'm not a crowd work guy. I mean, I can do a little bit of it here and there, but my thing is crafting, And if someone wants to get involved with me, I mean, I really. And my thing is, look, like if I'm doing crowd work and you jump in and there's people going by, but I don't do it. It's just like, look, shut up, sit back, listen, and laugh. I mean, the things in life, how easy is that? You know what I mean? And you're going to want to jump in and you're going to slow me down and you're going to stop my rhythm. And then I'm going to I'm just like, you're not helping.
No, exactly.
Before you're doing sound check, doesn't mean you show up during a performance and start humming a few bars. You know what I mean? Where were you at sound check, bitch? Where were you when I was slaving over my kitchen table, crafting these bits out? You know, I
But
don't, I don't. I mean, if I'm doing back and forth and give and take, that's one thing, and occasionally I'll do that. But actually, I mean, I don't think people really have a chance to heckle. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're rapid fire.
I mean, and I started in Philly, which is a really tough town. So it's like you get like if I'm talking, like it's like you learn to breathe through your ears, and blah, 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 blah. And I've had like shows and weeks where people come to my show and I had to come back 2 or 3 times because they were laughing so hard at some of the other stuff they didn't hear some of the other lines. It's
Right.
that's just my style. It's kind of an older style of comedy. It's that the classic kind of but
Right.
that's my thing. I
Yeah,
mean,
but I think it reflects of the new style of comedy too, because you're not doing shtick. You're doing observational stuff like the way Carlin used to do it. And
yeah,
so,
well, obviously, it's like I love cracking something open and getting to the bottom of it, or even like it's like I never talk about politics on stage. And it's like you're just going to lose half the crowd. I mean, I could do it. I could do it in a very if I wanted to, I could do it, and I could do it in a crafty way that would go right down the middle, and nobody would get upset. But at this time, why work against yourself? I
yeah.
mean, the job's already tough enough. And I was talking to you yesterday about people always go, "What should I do? Should I do social media? Should I go here's what you do. Start here, and don't stop till you get 20 minutes of killer material that works 98.9% of the time. Start there, right there. Do it in 5-minute increments. 5 minutes kills. 5 minutes that kills, 5 minutes that kills, and 5 minutes that kills, and then fucking put them together in a 20-minute set until you could do that good so well that it kills 98% of the time. Each and every bit is polished and performance and ready. And when you could do that, then you could fucking handle some of these other difficult subject matters. But if you don't have the skill set, because interacting with a crowd, controlling a crowd, keeping the rhythm going in the fucking show and working it out, and these are all things that come later after you've done it 1,000 times. You would get, you have to be because you don't. I mean, what you don't think stand-up comedy is more difficult? Why don't you do this? Why don't you start by saying cunt a lot, and then start cards mother and cunts and mothers, and then bring up politics, and then talk about fist fucking Mother Teresa on the back of the meat slicer at 7-Eleven, and yeah, that'll put everybody in a good mood. How about you go here's a shovel? Why don't you go dig a fucking hole 12 feet deep first, and then try to work your way out of it with no audience skill set? I mean, people want. I mean, it seems to me like people do a lot of that stuff just for the sake of doing that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like it's almost contrived. Like you know what I mean? Why don't you just be authentic? Be authentic, but at the same time, work to the top of your intelligence.
I don't know
You
that a
know?
lot of people know how to be authentic. I think that's a journey that comics take, and it takes a long time to figure out who you really are and to shed
Yeah.
all the bullshit.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It takes about 9 years. I mean, it looks easy. We're just talking to people, but there's a lot going on underneath the surface. It's like a one-legged duck. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on underneath the surface to make the top seem normal. It looks like you're talking. But it's probably like, you've worked on the bits, you were rehearsing the thing for 6 good hours before you got to the show. You've been working on it and with a phrase. How can I make that phrase work? What's a better word than that word? I don't like that word. There's got to be a funnier word. Where can I get a laugh during a setup where there's no laugh by saying it this way? Or how do I land that punchline and then tag it and tag it and tag it and tag it and then tag it one more time and then bust your own balls for tagging it so much? You know what I mean? But all those thoughts that are going on. I was at Joe's club, Joe Rogan's club there in Austin, and Joe was talking about like he likes to interrogate the bit. I said Doug stand up and told him that I had to interrogate the bit, or if you have a thought, put the thought on trial, and then try to argue both sides of it. And then even if you're not able to complete it, make fun of yourself for trying to, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's so much there. There's a great well, it's an app now, but there was a thing, Roger Van Oick's Whack Pack, and it's a creative whack pack for storytellers and writers and stuff like that. And you'd like you like when I was writing bits and I got stuck on something, I would hit the whack pack and just give me a different idea or look at it the exact opposite way of you're looking at it, just for shits and giggles, and then
Right.
try to argue that point. Or it's I mean, it's not just about saying funny things. I mean, stand-up comedy, I think, is a funny way of being serious. That's how I look at it. And the artist is nothing without the gift, because there is a gift to it, but then the gift is nothing without the work. And a lot of people think, hey, it's a great way to fucking run a bar tab and meet chicks and waitresses. No, it's not actually. It's a real job, and it's got real parameters and things that you have to fulfill. I mean, one of the toughest things I learned is how to be a professional. Be a fucking consummate pro through and through, and that includes with your dealings with everybody at the comedy club, because that's your office. And treat people nice and fit over tip, and don't be a high maintenance diva. I mean, you're not curing cancer. You're telling dick jokes. Be the guy. Everybody goes, you know what? That guy was the funniest, nicest guy I've ever worked with. And because you're getting the privilege of making people laugh. Like, I stopped looking at it like being a comedian. Like, I always think, like, what I love about when I'm killing on a stage, that means those people in the audience, while they're in that state of joy, are the furthest things from the things that hurt them in their lives. And also that the devil hates the sound of laughter, because joy is the pure essence of human beings. You should be joyful. And then I've had a lot of instances where I saw this guy before the show. He was in Minneapolis. He was sitting at a table, he was eating by himself. And this, that, I was just observing because I'm a people watcher. I said, make sure you come into the show. And it's kind of sad. He was like, he's just, I don't know. And I didn't know what was going on with him. Nobody ever really does. And he came in and he watched the show. And afterwards, he fucking thanked me profusely, because had to bury my aunt today. My aunt was like a mom to me. And I was really
Mm.
second guessing about coming in. I was so crushed, but you made me laugh so hard. So for that time that you were able to, again, get lost in the laughter. And so it's like, it's a very powerful thing to be able to do to a room full of strangers. It's a very tough thing to be able to do, but you can't underestimate that responsibility, and then go at it and attack it in a way. And I've had a lot of people like come up and grab your arm and go, oh my God, especially after the pandemic, I haven't laughed like that in so long. I've needed that, because people forget, laughter is really important to your emotional well-being, and
Yeah.
you should be able to laugh at yourself, and you should be, so it's not just Tommy the dick joke guy. I mean, there's a real craft, and there's a profession to it, and there's a lot of a lot of great comedians that have a great comedy pedigree, and guys that I still watch occasionally, and and watch all your contemporaries. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of comedy, because I don't want to influence me
Hmm.
one way. Sometimes it's very tough to, like, you could tell who they watch a lot of by they're not doing the material, but you could hear it in their cadence. Obviously, this guy's a big Stanhope fan. This guy's a big Attell fan. This guy's a
Yeah.
Bill Big Burr fan, because they don't, they catch the cadence. It's just the cadence. And you can hear it in your ear. That he goes, oh, that's a lot of, so. You should, but as a comedian, you should go back and watch like guys like Johnny Carson and watch all these great comedians that were on the Tonight Shows and the Carlins and the Rodney Dangerfield and study the classics and the greats. I mean, I occasionally find myself listening to Carlin's albums still. I also like to listen to some of Lenny Bruce's stuff,
Yeah.
just the ideas of it. I mean, because to me is, and also some contemporary. I think nobody's funnier than David Tell. I think David Tell is the funniest guy in the planet. Bill Burr is really good too.
Yeah.
I like Joe Rogan, and Doug Stanhope and all those guys. I think they're all great, prolific comedians. I mean, so it's if I get a chance, I'll watch somebody of that ilk.
Yeah.
But I don't really swing by open mic night and sit in the back of the room.
Do you do open mics anymore? Do you ever, or do you
Yeah,
try out your new
there's a
material
club that's about 10 minutes from my house.
oh,
So
okay.
in fact, it's on Tuesday nights. And so I'll pop in if I'm working on something really like from ground zero. I'll walk in and try to can't take it up. But sometimes a lot of it for me anyway is a lot about standing up on stage and hearing yourself say it out loud, like just getting the words out of your mouth, whether it's funny or not. I don't give a fuck. And there's a club it's a smaller club. You can go fall on your face and nobody gives a shit. And you need that environment as a comedian. So just sometimes about getting the words out in the proper way, just kind of go, okay, there's something there, there's something there, there's something there, that not so much. Let's move that. And so while I'm in my head, I'm saying it, and I'm also making notes, and
Do you
so
record yourself when you're doing that? Do
what's that?
you record yourself when you're doing
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. I definitely record myself. I mean, all the great people record themselves. I mean, videotaping yourself is such a great tool. I mean, to like, especially if you're like fucking with the order of something, or also if you want to put the performance elements on it, the act outs, all that stuff.
Right.
And so I think it's an incredibly useful tool, and everybody that's great does it. So you should too, because everybody can does it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the only way. It's the only way you get better, or you can monitor your progress. And some guys are pretty technical about it. Guys like Dat Fan. I saw Dat Fan record shows, and he had like 2 pages of notes based on that show, based
Wow.
on the little intricacies of. I mean, some people are really pretty specific with it. I mean, you have to be. I mean, it's like you have to eat it, you have to breathe it, you have to sleep it, you have to wake up in the morning thinking about it, you have to go to bed at night thinking about it. And like especially after a bad set, I mean, you become a member of the Midnight Ass Kickers Club, and you're tossing and turning and coming up with 20 things that you could have said that would be funnier than a thing, and just I mean, you obsess over it because it's obsession worthy. You know, I mean, really, I mean,
Yeah.
and nowadays people are putting the social media cart before the horse. Do the work, do the reps, get in there, take care of your body physically. You want to be. I lost 50 pounds recently, and I find it's affecting my confidence on stage a lot. At one point I was walking pretty horribly because of a motorcycle accident. I had both my knees replaced, and I'm now walking better. I mean, it all just affects your confidence on stage and your ability to sell your stuff and everything. It all goes hand in hand. I mean, I live for it. I live for this, and I'm really am privileged. And I say that privileged to be able to make a living doing it for all these years. I mean, I know tons of guys that have their 8x10s on the walls of comedy clubs that are no longer doing it. They're no longer relevant, and who knows what happened to them or whatever the deal is. Some guys left to take care of their families and raise their families. We talked about that, Mike.
Yeah.
My buddy Nicky Palmer. I know a lot of guys, and that's a noble thing as anybody will do. Create another human being with good values and a good sense of good moral compass, and become good human beings. That's as important. And
Yeah, but we can't stay away from it.
yeah,
As hard as you try, you can't. You
but
can't.
but what I'm saying is, I mean, that happens to a lot of guys do that. Go, I don't want to be away from my kids. I'm never going to
Right.
get back with my kids, and that's cool, man. I admire that. I respect that. I think that's really you made a decision, and you can always come back to stand up. Everybody does.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a interesting journey to leave and come back. I've found you rediscover your love of it.
Yeah, well, I always do that before I go on stage. I always tell myself, I always say, let's go have fun.
Yeah.
Let's go have some fun. Because that's why you do it. I mean, you're obviously going to be nervous. I mean, the nerves never go away.
You're
I'm,
still nervous?
yeah, you
You're
kidding
not
me?
worried, but you're
The
nervous.
smaller the smaller and inconsequential the show, the more nervous I get.
Really?
But,
Isn't
I
that
mean,
weird?
Yeah, but I've just learned to channel it better. I've been doing a lot of hot yoga, and but a lot of that breathing I use. My acting coach calls it butt breathing, where you take a nice inhale and you learn to take it in through the ass, and go.
Right, right.
If you're in your body and you're breathing into your body, then you're gonna be okay. But if you let it get up in here, put it in your body, and in you go, because we're all little bits.
What's your favorite bit? Of all your bits that you do, what's your favorite one that you can still look forward to doing?
Well, you can find it on YouTube. I don't do the bit anymore for obvious reasons, but it was about the conjoinal twins.
Uh,
The,
maybe
the,
we'll have Chris as the editor. Maybe we'll have him find
yeah, I
you.
closed my Comedy Central special with it. They
Okay.
let me do it, and they let me do it only because I work with the director and said, "Well, they let me reach over and finger bang the midget." He goes, "No." I go, "Can I reach my hand out of frame?" And so the people in the audience see it, but the people at home don't. He goes, "That we could do," and he
Huh.
just got around all the stuff that I couldn't do on television. People go, "I can't believe they let you do that on your Comedy Central special." But it's only because I thought about it and sat down with the director and we worked it out, every bit verbatim and every tagline. I said, so I said, for that bit, you're going to come into my face. You come in. He goes, yeah. But it was like important notes because I knew my act and I knew how it would go. But it's the bit is, I go, you take things for granted being one person. Can you imagine being connected to someone? So I saw this documentary about these conjoinal twins. They're Siamese twins, but now they call it conjoinal twins. But the one lady was a normal sized woman, and connected to her head was a much smaller person. I mean, she had a midget hanging off her head that she had to wheel around on this little stick like she was a bad puppet act. And I go, who saw the show? And I go, hey, I'm just telling you what I saw. I didn't want to see the show either. You saw the show? Yeah, the one lady wanted to be a country western singer. Yeah, amazing. Like, I mean, that's an incredibly competitive field. You're going against Shania Twain and Faith Hill. I don't know if you noticed it. No midget. I mean, it's not like a mole with a couple of hairs coming out of it. It's a midget on a stick that you're wheeling around. I mean, why don't you just become a ventriloquist? You probably get your own goddamn Comedy Central special. Well, you saw the show. How about the one woman halfway through the program? She looks right at the camera. She goes, I like the date. What the hell's that like? I mean, let's say you were attracted to the larger one. You want to take her out.
That's got to complicate things. Because hypothetical situation, let's say you're attracted to the larger one, you want to take her out for a nice romantic evening. What's the etiquette on that? I mean, you got to pick up dinner for the midget too?
So, how long you involved in the country western? No, 6 years. No good. Yeah, midget, there's some appetizers. Anyway, all your own music. And then I would do this thing where I switched eyes and kept switching back like I was watching it. Let God forbid things went really well. And you were having a great time. And you went home for a nightcap. She invites you in. Before you know it, you're making love to the country western singer. And everything's going reasonably well. They invite you in for a nightcap. And one thing led to another, and before you realized it, you were inside the country western singer making love to her. And everything seemed to be going reasonably well, given the circumstances. And then the midget starts taking off her clothes. What the hell are you doing, midget? I'm having sex with you. So what the hell are you doing, midget? I'm having sex with your sister. What the hell are you? How great would that be? And how many fantasies could you cross off the list that night? You got the midget, you got the sister, you got the country western trio. I mean, it's a virtual fantasy trifecta. It would be a hell of a story. I mean, who's going to top you at a party? I once had sex with a supermodel. Well, I once finger banged this midget while a country western singer said, I got friends in the low place where the whiskey dry. It's on YouTube. You can see it. But it was like, it
Oh,
was
that's great.
just relentless. It kept coming at you. And I kept going. And like you might want to go, that's horrible. That's horrible. But it kept coming. And then you're from both. And it was just an act out. It was funny as shit. Like more people like comedy. A guy picked me up at the airport. He goes, listen, I don't pick up comedians at the airport. I own the club. He goes, this week's my birthday. I must have watched that conjoinal twin bit 300 times all by myself. This week's my birthday. You are my birthday present to myself. I want you to do that bit every fucking show. And sure enough, I mean, it was just, it's a,
How did that bit start? Like, what was the foundation of the bit, and then how did it grow or heighten from there, as Mike would
I
say,
was just
heighten?
watching on TV, and this lady comes on with this thing, and you go, oh my God, I feel bad for him. That's horrible. Person, could you imagine having someone else connected to you? I mean, as much as you can love somebody 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, I'd be choking will you shut the fuck up? Will you shut the get off my back? But it was just a fun bit to do for a long time. I mean, nowadays you probably get tarred and feathered and run out of town. But the fucking sad part is for every conjoinal twin you pissed off, that was 2 hate letters.
Double the hate.
Double the hate.
One of them's just a tiny little card.
Yeah. So you put the clip in the podcast, people could see it. But it's and sometimes on a late show, if it's half an audience or whatever, I may slip into it just to blow the dust off because it's such a funny bit. I mean,
Oh, it's great.
It's really. And essentially, I was sitting there literally. It took me about 3 months to get that ready to close my Comedy Central special with it because I saw it and my thought process was exactly the thought process I had. Like, well, that's horrible. Okay, well, that's a little weird. The country westerns, like it was literally, I was making notes as I was watching it, and then I looked at those. No, but that thought process is just, I feel bad for them. I fucking really do. I'm just saying, it's I mean, it's a lot.
I love that you break it down to something so simple, which is like it's a highly competitive field and it's not easy to do with.
Yeah, but all this stuff starts like that. It's like, it's funny because a couple bits you go, are you sure? Like I call around and go, hey, you ever heard anybody talk about this? You ever like not with that bit, but because I knew that was really highly unique and original. I know nobody would even, but yeah, you see some of these bits that you like. I even go back and listen. Like I listen to my album sometimes. I just listen to old bits just to go, that's interesting. It's still funny. I wouldn't do it, but it's funny. I wouldn't put it in my act, but it just to get you, you hear your voice. It just remind you what your voice is or what your thing is. I mean, if you so yeah, but I mean, I read magazine articles a lot. I'm always on the look. I'm always scavenging for a fucking piece of information that no one else has that you can turn into a really funny, offbeat. Because it is. I mean, nobody wants to hear about Tinder anymore. And my dating pro. Look, you've been on stage 5 minutes already. Swipe right. I mean, it's like I was like that. Nobody cares, but nobody cares about you. Like you, I talk about the observational things that everybody does. Or we go, yeah, the bathroom with the toilet that doesn't flush. It flushes until you have to need it to flush. Then it won't flush. And like the things that everybody does, the things that everybody finds themselves in the middle of. Like, I'm a guy. It's like Seinfeld. I'm a guy surrounded by morons. You're constantly. It's like, I just surrounded. But I don't talk about my personal life, and I have that a rich personal life. I mean, I got 5 brothers. There's 6 boys in my house and no sisters. My dad was a homicide detective. My mom was a school teacher. All those. I just don't think anybody gives a fuck. The minute you're not making it about, I think it's all about the audience. It's really about my thing is to give them the best fuck experience that they can have, and to make them laugh the hardest they can laugh without, all the other bullshit.
Yeah, we're always looking for advice for young comics writing new material. And so the question is, if you have 1 hour a night to work on your comedy, that's not on stage, that's writing time.
Yeah.
What drills, techniques, tactics, free writing examples?
It's funny. I always say this: you give me 20 facts, I'll give you 20 jokes. You give me 20 facts, I'll give you 20 jokes. Give me 20 facts, I'll give you 20 jokes. I like a base of reality. I like to be honest. I mean, I like that the pure. I like it to be honest. So if you're talking about something real that happened, and also, sometimes I'll goof off and do some puns, word plays just to goof off. Like I did this thing about Mr. Peanut. They tried to murder him 2 Super Bowls ago. I mean, I had the toy when I was a kid. I love Mr. Peanut. He had that top hat, that little monocle, and they went after him. They snapped his walking stick, ripped his monocle out, took his top hat. I mean, last time I saw him, he was roasted. He's downtown Dallas sucking cock for drug money. I mean, the guy's a former shell of himself. But it's a stupid, like, I know it's dumb, but I just throw it in. I just throw it in. But also, yeah, I mean, what do you really want to say? What do you really want to say? What are you trying to fucking really say? I mean, I mean, I would always, I would work on my vocabulary constantly. I would work on my vocabulary. I would work on the, I find myself like a word of the day and just try to use that in conversation. Maybe I can slip it in my act. Or, whether it's, the ubiquitous them. Who? What do you mean they? They told you. Who's they? They, the ubiquitous them. Who's the ubiquitous them? But I mean, different words or like, we've done this, the drills with like, let's say you were working with those three guys you used to write with. We come up with three, okay, aluminum siding, a gallon of milk, and Panglossian viewpoint. You have to use those three in your stand-up set. You have to use those three words tonight in your stand-up set, which gives you an opportunity to like put some words that you wouldn't have thought of. Like each guy gives them to the other guy. You know what I mean? Try to make it really difficult. And if you're able to do it, kudos. And if you can't, you have to buy a drink or something. I don't know if you could put all three, but like keep it fun and interesting for sure. But yeah, but that kind of stuff. That as far as jokes go, and I would always take my weaknesses, whatever they were. If it wasn't crowd work, I'd go up and do a whole set of crowd work. If it wasn't establishing a rapport, I would go up and establish a rapport. I would take all my weaknesses and turn them into strengths. If I didn't start well, that means my whole set would go down the hill. So I would go out on purpose and not start well, and then try to save the set. If I was trying anything that I was not strong at, I would work on specifically to make it stronger. And if that's crafting a line, if that's writing a joke, and the more ridiculous, the better, because you can't fuck up. You know what I mean? Because as an artist, you have to give yourself permission to fuck. A guy said this to me, a guy named Freddie Asparagus, who worked at the Comedy Store. And he was like a big, heavy Mexican guy, and he's fucking hilarious and a great improver, and he would do these characters. And he told me, he goes, stand-up comedy is one of those art forms that you have to disrespect before you can respect it. And I was like, what the f is that? I said, who are you, the Riddler from Batman? But it took me another couple years to unwind that and think about it, because I was thinking about it on a daily basis. And what he thought he meant was, like, when you go up and make yourself, obviously, I think this is funny. I wrote it. I think it's hilarious. But I think if you go up and you don't, like, you have to go through a phase where it's not about the audience. It's about you and your personal development. Like, if you give yourself permission to go up and suck and fall on your face, in that permission, you will find a freedom that allows you to be the most authentic and true version of yourself possible. Again, back to the stripper thing. It's like going, like just fucking undressing mentally, and it's okay. There's no failure here. It's like, stand-up comedy, like baseball, is a game of failure. Until you get good enough where you don't suck anymore. And sometimes you come up with stuff like right before you go on stage and go into that and go into that and go into that. And it gives you a skill set where you almost can go up and talk about anything and make it funny.
You mentioned the 20 facts, 20 jokes. How would a young comedian operationalize that? They just look up 20 facts and write an individual joke for each of those facts?
Well, no, yeah, we start with 20 facts about like the same subject.
Okay.
20 facts about the same subject. I'm sorry. That's right. Well, especially if you're working on a bit. So you're armed with facts now. So you have facts as your guideline. I mean, I'm going to turn those all into hilarious fun jokes. That means they're going to be the fact is to set me up that this is true, and go into the bit. 20 facts, 20 jokes about the same subject matter, which gives you so that you can talk about something intellectually, or you can talk about like in a way that makes it unique, because you've armed yourself with facts. I meant about the same subject. So if I'm thinking about doing a bit like this, let's say, look at, I used to do this fight. I haven't been able to make it work, but it was like 20 facts, has anyone bounced a check recently? Holy shit. You fucking hit me with fines that would cripple Microsoft. I mean, if I didn't have I wrote a check for Money Magazine. Apparently, I moved some counts around and it bounced, which lets you know why I would need the subscription to Money Magazine. So I go over there to complain about it. And I'm sitting there waiting in line. There's a little old lady in front of me. She wants to cash out her entire husband's life savings from years of working at Union Carbide, and she doesn't want it in dollars. She wants it in shekels and yen, and she wants even fucking. But I'm sitting there getting, getting hit with these fines. I mean, it's like $35. I about to check, and instead of my bank, the First Federal Bank of Demon's Blood, instead of them notifying me that they bounced a check, they waited 24 hours, redeposit, hit me with a 30. It was a $30 check, cost me $112. I mean, it's just like facts. I mean,
Right.
no, but there's no reason I haven't been able make it work. But even about the money, but you can't fuck up financially. You can fuck up financially. Next thing you know, you're homeless. I mean, look at it. Look at where they hit you. I mean, because we live in money's everything. Everyone needs money. Money. The point is, you make so much money, you get into the 49% tax bracket. That means half the money you make is not even yours. It's 49%, and that's before they tack on Social Security tax. And then you take that dollar, you spine someone, and that's 12 cents tax on that fucking dollar. And then before you know it, I mean, that's before city wage tax, unemployment tax, your taxes for your licenses and your cash tax and fucking electric tax. And before you know it, you got like 3 cents left. That's my 2 cents. Penny for your thoughts. And it's nothing. I have nothing. It's not, I haven't been able to make it work. But the idea of it, I'm still
Right.
working. But it's 25.
Yeah, you got the facts that you base it off all those jokes off of.
Well, yeah, because you could put those elemental facts in as you go, which makes it seem like you know what the fuck you're talking about. Like you've actually
Right.
put some thought into what the fuck you're talking about, and you're not just making shit up on the fly. That's a true story. Is it true? Or are you making up? Oh, it's a true story. Like those guys, it's a true story. It's really true.
And I'm a liar.
You get extra point, like Tom Herrera said, like you get extra point because it's a true story. How about a funny story? You know what I mean? So there's all those things, but yeah,
That's perfect. That's great.
right.
We ask all
It's
our
a
guests that
great fucking
question.
journey, especially if you love it. I tell people this all the time. This is the truth. You have to fucking love it. You have to fucking love it. If you don't love it, it'll kill you. It's like filmmaking. You have to love it to do it, or for acting, because you're going to make tremendous sacrifices all along the way. You're going to miss family functions and christenings and weddings and birthday parties and anniversaries because you're busy hustling up and living your life like a hump on the highway and traveling all the time. So you have to love it. If you don't love it, it will absolutely destroy you as a human being. But that's what Charles Bukowski said, isn't that what Charles? He said, "Find what you do and let it kill you. Find what you love to do and then let it kill you."
Right.
Which is a good way to live your life. I mean, I absolutely loved highs, the lows, the challenges, all the great moments, the great friends, the people I've met along the way, guys who were mentored me and fucking helped me out, and all along. I appreciate every fucking last bit of it, and I'm grateful, and that's where I live, and I'm fucking very blessed. And sometimes I got to tell you, I wake up in the morning and I just can't believe that I've had this truly blessed, amazing life. Like anybody who does, well, if you're able to make a living doing something you love to do, then that is the gift of life. And so, but listen, fellas, I appreciate you having me on, even though I fucking dominated the fucking goddamn fucking.
Well, that's the whole point, man. We wanted to hear what you
We're gonna
have
have
to say.
Schubert on. I'm just gonna say hello, and then we'll run for 45. I tell you nothing. I feel like you guys, your ears. You look like you've been fighting in the UFC. You're beating again. I'm sorry.
We'll edit in our comments afterwards.
No. Listen, I love that you're doing this podcast, because we talked about it a little bit yesterday. We had talked to each other in a long time, and we were able to catch up a little bit on the phone. But also, like, even after you figure out all that stuff about writing and this, that, and the other thing, then comes another journey of building a network. A network of people that exist all over the United States and all over the world, really, that can hire you and provide you and help you make a living doing something you love to do. And I know that the people always bitch about club owners, and I always say this: listen, you should be thankful for these people. They've created an environment for you in which you can go make a living doing something you love to do. I mean, that's why. I mean, and a great expense to them. So they are not the enemy. They are, like, they want people to pack in their comedy clubs, and you gotta figure out a way to do that. But anyway, yeah, but it's been fun hanging out with you cats, and
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
yeah, man.
They don't want you wearing fur. Don't wear fur. Don't wear fur. Don't wear fur. They don't care when you wear leather, really. just fur. I'm guessing that's because it's much easier to harass a woman than it is a biker. And that would be my guess. Otherwise, why don't you run down to the biker bar and throw red paint on Warlock's colors and tell him his fashion choice is murder. And watch your teeth become an endangered species, and let's see how committed you are to your cause. I mean,
I took a lot of notes. That was rich.
Wasn't that? I knew he would be great. I like the 20 facts. I'll give you 20 jokes. I like that's really an interesting.
But that's similar to like your advice of like I read an article, turn your left brain on and write the actual like logic of the article, and then
Right.
put your right brain on and try to punch
those the facts up.
But once you have an interesting thing to say,
Yeah.
then go back and punch it up.
Yeah. It's good stuff.